and welcome to Dear Franny, the podcast of uncommon conversations about love. I'm your host, Francesca Hogi. Happy holidays. All right, so I owe you an apology. If you are a listener of the show, if this is your very first episode, hi, welcome. But for those of you who have been listening for a while, I promised you that I was going to have a new season of Dear Franny this fall, and that didn't happen. And I just want to acknowledge that and apologize for the delay. This is a bonus episode. So this is still part of season 4, but season 5 will be starting in early 2023. I promise. There are various reasons for the delay, life, being busy, but also not being entirely clear on what I wanted season 5 to look like or sound like. And I have learned more than ever the power of intention. And so I want to just make sure that I'm taking the time to give you the best season possible. But before we get to season 5, we're still here in season 4, and it's the holidays. And I know that the holidays are obviously a difficult time for many people for many different reasons. But when you are single at the holidays, it can feel especially isolating. It can feel especially lonely. It can feel especially painful. I know this firsthand. I've had many single holiday seasons, some of which, it was fine and I was great being single. But, as you get older, it can feel a little bit more like, oh gosh, you might feel like you've had a lot of single holidays, or maybe this is your first single holiday in a long time and you're adjusting to that. But wherever you are on your journey, whatever your particular situation is, the point is that this can be a difficult time for single people, in part because of being in gatherings with family and friends and coworkers. And sometimes, you have people asking you a lot of questions. Oh, have you met anyone yet? Or weren't you seeing someone? Or that can be a lot, right? So I wanted to record this episode to give you a little bit of guidance and a little bit of support about navigating this time of year. Number one, and I always start here for those of you who know me, which is to make sure that you are being kind to yourself. So that is the most important thing, because sometimes when we're having these difficult times or challenging emotions, we judge ourselves for having those emotions. Oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I'm being so dumb, or this is so stupid, or why do I care, or all of that. And that's not being loving towards yourself. And what I want to encourage you to do above all, regardless of the holidays or anything else, is to start to be mindful and developing a more loving relationship with yourself. And that means treating yourself with kindness and, criticizing yourself, judging yourself, shaming yourself for feeling your feelings, or for whatever circumstances you feel that you're in and that you feel, badly about, or you wish were different. The judgment does not help. The shaming does not help. If judging and shaming and criticizing ourselves helped us to transform our lives, then none of us would have anything left that we wanted to transform in our lives, because we would have shamed it out of ourselves. It doesn't work that way. So I want you to really think about how can you use this opportunity to practice more of that loving kindness and compassion towards yourself, more acceptance of yourself. Judgment is the opposite of acceptance, right? And so really thinking about that, being mindful of that. And I really want to challenge you to commit. I want you to commit to cultivating more of that kindness towards yourself. And then along these same lines there is the circumstance of you being single. And being single is not a disease. It is not a condition that needs to be overcome or escaped. However, if you know that you are ready to have a partnership and, have a romantic relationship, that's fantastic. And you absolutely can have that. But right now, if you're single, how can you enjoy being single? What are the things that you can celebrate about this time of your life? Because there are beautiful, beautiful gifts in singlehood. And that is not often discussed. That's often overlooked, because people are constantly selling you on the idea that you need to have a partner to, complete you and to make your life complete. That is not true. You're already complete. And really, I want you to start to challenge yourself. And if you haven't already, really practice gratitude. Gratitude for your life, gratitude for your journey, gratitude for what you've learned, gratitude for who you are, and really lean into just not judging your situation, but being grateful, and this is a great time of year to really focus on gratitude. Not that there's ever a bad time of year to focus on gratitude, but a lot of times on the holidays, the gratitude is like, oh, I'm grateful for, these gifts, or I'm grateful for this time or these people. And that's amazing. And please, let's practice gratitude for all the things in our lives. But I also want you to practice gratitude for yourself and for the ways in which you've grown and what you've created for your own life, because that is something to be rewarded. And I also want you to make sure that you are allowing yourself to feel those feelings. So feeling sad, feeling disappointed, feeling lonely. And by the way, there are the loneliness at this time of year. Well, sometimes loneliness is exacerbated by being, quote, alone, but also you can feel very lonely when you are in a relationship, when you're, surrounded by people. And I really want to make sure that you are, again, being kind to yourself, but allow yourself to feel those feelings, because your feelings are always valid. You need to process them, but also keep in mind, what is the story that you're telling yourself? So for instance, if the story that you're telling yourself about being single this holiday season is, oh my God, I'm single, I'm such a loser, I'll just say things that I have thought at times in my life in the past, I'm never going to meet anyone, like another holiday season alone, right? I know that when I was in that place, you could still be in that place and be in a relationship. But when I was single and I was in that place of really telling myself a very disempowering story, right? So the disempowering story was, because I'm single, that means I'm never going to have the relationship that I want to have, that there's something wrong with me, that I am somehow unworthy, I'm unlovable. So that's a lot of story. So there is the circumstance. The circumstance is you're not in a relationship right now. Okay. That's just a fact. That's fine. That's, accept reality. But you don't have to pile on a whole bunch of story, a whole bunch of editorializing that is not actually true. Like I said, your feelings are valid, but your feelings are not facts, right? So the fact that you're single is not a death sentence. It's not a condemnation of your attractiveness or your worthiness or your lovability. So when you find yourself telling yourself a whole story that's all disempowering, that's all confirming your deepest insecurities, I really, really, really want you to catch yourself and challenge that story, because you can allow yourself to feel the feelings without adding on all that story, because that only makes the pain worse. And it actually has a negative impact, not just on you now, but going forward, because all you're doing is powerfully reinforcing things that you do not want to be true, and things that make you feel even more disconnected from love and from partnership, which is, if that's what you're seeking, and it's not to judge yourself for doing this, because we all do it, but you want to start catching yourself and not let those thoughts go unchecked and gain more and more momentum. So separate the feelings from the story, right? This is what I talk about when I talk about rejection. There may be the reality of this person doesn't want to date you or be in a relationship with you, and that's the fact, right? So feel the feelings about that. But then if you add on, that's because I'm this and nobody wants me and I'm never going to, now you're telling yourself a whole story and it's taking on a life of its own. Another tip at this time of year is to proactively reach out to and connect with other people, because I think that the holiday seasons where I have felt loneliest were the ones where I was hoping that people would be reaching out. I was hoping that people would be inviting me to things, and maybe I didn't get enough of that outreach as I wanted, and that made me feel even worse. When I sort of made a shift and said, oh, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to say yes to the invitations that I do get, and I'm also going to reach out to people and I'm going to say, hey, how are you and what's going on? So think about that. Think about how you can proactively connect with other people and just feel that community and feel that connection. And at the same time, protect your peace. So if I'm telling you to go out and proactively connect with people and you're like, oh, what I really want to do is spend alone time and be in contemplation. And okay, if that's what you need to do, knowing what your needs are. But if you are feeling that craving for connection, I really encourage you to seek it within yourself always, but also to go out and proactively seek it with other people. And then the last thing here that I wanted to share with you is, as we're approaching a new year, obviously 2023, is knocking at the door. I'm not a big fan of New Year's resolutions because, they don't typically work because we don't wake up on January 1st as a totally different person than we were on December 31st. However, if you are unhappy about being single, use the contrast to help to motivate you and to clarify what you are ready to call into your life. And it just so happens that at this time of year, there's a lot of energy and there's a lot of momentum around the new year and the change of the calendar and people having new aspirations and having new goals and acknowledging and claiming those dreams. So I want you to take advantage of that, ride that wave, right? And definitely do that introspection, but use it proactively, use it productively. So use it to say, okay, you know what? When I think about what is really underneath me feeling so disconnected or really feeling so lonely, I really think it's about this. I really think it's about, not feeling like I have enough authentic connections with people in my life. So let that be something that motivates you to say, okay, you know what? I'm setting an intention for myself for 2023 that I'm going to show up with more authenticity and I'm going to make deeper connections with people based on who I really am and based on what my values are and based on what I really care about. And not just romantically, but just in general. So use the contrast, get curious, right? So when you have dropped the judgment and you've dropped the criticism and you've dropped the self-shaming, then it's a lot easier to start to engage your curiosity, which is a superpower. And then you can start to get curious about, okay, well, what are the things that I really want to experience more of in my life? And not just say, I just want a partner. Okay, you want a partner, but why? What do you want to experience more of? Because the more you can commit to experiencing and cultivating those emotions and those experiences more and more, then it becomes effortless. It becomes so much easier to attract and be attracted to people who are on that same vibe, that same wavelength, that same frequency. So use the contrast to motivate you and to clarify to you what you are ready to call into your life. I hope that that is helpful. And I hope that you know that even though you might feel alone, you are not alone. I mean, we're all on our own ultimately in this life journey, but there are people in this world who care about you. I care about you. I love you. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you the best wishes for the end of 22, for all of 2023, and for the rest of your life. I mean, honestly. So reach out to people, make those connections. You deserve to have connection. You deserve to have love. That's what I want for you. So that's that. I am going to be back one more time before the end of 2022. I promise, because I'm going to record one more bonus episode that is really my year-end wrap-up, if you will. I have learned so much this year, as every year, and I just want to share some of those things with you and in an actionable way. So you're not just listening to me talk about my life, but you are finding ways and tools to apply some of the things that I've learned that resonate with you to your own life. So there will be another episode coming next week with that. And I also want to encourage those of you who are really motivated to get serious and to actually really focus on bringing the love that you want into your life in 2023 and beyond. Reach out to me. I'm a coach. I'm also matchmaking again. Those of you who know that I used to be a matchmaker, I took a big hiatus from matchmaking, but I have returned. So I am seeking clients and also matches for my clients in particularly Los Angeles and primarily Los Angeles and also New York. Those are the two cities that I am concentrating on right now because that's where my networks are and all of that. So if you're interested in matchmaking, reach out. There'll be links in the show notes for my calendar if you want to book a session to talk about matchmaking. And if you're not interested in matchmaking, but you want to talk about coaching, I also have a bunch of coaching sessions that are available for you to book, and you and I can sit down and have a deep dive one-on-one. I actually love doing those deep dive sessions because it's like ahas and ahas and ahas. It's just for my clients, which is really awesome. So if that sounds intriguing to you, do check out the show notes. You can also check out the links in any of my bios on social. I'm Dear Franny at everywhere. And also, speaking of socials, on Instagram and TikTok, I have been posting daily videos 5 times a week, Monday through Friday, on a series that I'm doing called Be Your Own Matchmaker. So lots of different pieces of advice, very quick, very actionable. So check me out on Instagram and on TikTok. Again, that's Dear Franny, DearFranny, just like the title of this podcast. Very easy. So you can check that out and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for listening. Have a wonderful, wonderful holiday, whatever you celebrate, whether you celebrate or not. I love you, and I will talk to you soon. All right. Bye.